No, Joe's actually right.
You know what else?
Let's do this.
But
Watch.
it's more of the cannabis oil than that.
Yeah, they actually,
You gotta vaporize it or eat it.
yep. But we got
That's just for the paint.
special topics 2, test 13 here. Let's do this. Let's do this.
That's why they smoke it, it's for
And,
nausea and pain.
We're gonna do the special topics 2, test 13. We gotta go through this quick enough. We gotta do this in enough, short enough time. I'm gonna erase this.
let's go.
Does anybody knew what that was I drew on the board?
A road?
That was a wire with a hash mark.
That was a road.
And somebody was saying, what's a hash mark on a wire? That's what what's a hash mark
That
on a
was a
wire.
cartoon. road.
So instead of putting stripes on all the wires, they did hash marks on some. Special topics 2, test 13. Test 13. You got one? You got one, Quincy? Somebody took your test? What? Or did you just leave it laying somewhere?
You're trying to sell it.
Do you ever leave your test laying somewhere? Do you always put it away, or is it something leave it on the table sometimes? Is that good? It was. I put it over there one time. I don't know where it happened after that.
Oh,
All right.
doesn't do
I
it.
found my book.
A fuel cell produces electricity from what and what? A fuel cell produces electricity from what and what?
Hydrogen and oxygen.
Hydrogen and oxygen. Good answer, Adam. Adam is kind of well read. He knows a lot of stuff. What are the byproducts? What are the byproducts from a fuel cell?
We got our sales.
Non-methane hydrocarbon.
Water.
Oh.
Water is the only from the fuel
Hydrogen and
cell.
oxygen, H2O.
Yeah, bingo. There you go.
Methane.
Isn't it interesting how hydrogen and oxygen accelerates combustion? Hydrogen is explosive, but you put them together and make water. All right. Okay, let's see. Which type of fuel cell is the most likely used to power vehicles?
SOFC.
PEM. Which is not a function of an ultracapacitor. And I'm not talking about the one that went back
you
to the
skipped
future, right? Which is not a function of an ultracapacitor.
It can or can pass DC current.
That's right. That's not a function of an ultracapacitor. Adam is well schooled.
What's four?
Hydrogen, huh?
4.
4.
Yeah, you skipped it.
Which liquid fuel could be used to directly power a fuel cell?
Ethanol.
Methanol. Methanol. Okay. Hydrogen is most commonly stored at what pressure?
5,000.
5,000 psi. Hydrogen storage tanks are usually constructed from what?
D, both B and C.
Hey.
Steel.
Aluminum or carbon fiber. HCCI is a process that eliminates what parts or components in a gasoline engine?
Fuel injection.
So the choices are battery, fuel tank, fuel injectors, or ignition system.
Fuel injectors.
Ignition system.
Well, if I knew what HCCI stood for.
If I'm going too fast for you, don't worry. You can read it in the book. All right.
What's HCCI?
A plug. That's what I said. If I'm going too fast, you can read it in the book. A plug-in hybrid is different from a conventional hybrid electric vehicle because of what?
In other words, he doesn't know.
Built-in battery charger.
More batteries. Ah, more batteries. Which energy sources are currently being used to help reduce the use of fossil fuels?
Both B and C.
Yeah, both B and C is good. Wind power and hydroelectric power. The only problem is neither one of them provides enough energy to supply our energy needs. And here's another thing about those windmills. Those windmills have to be rebuilt every 7 years, but it takes them 40 years to pay for themselves. Now they'll probably make them better as they go, but you know the ones that you see that have caught fire and are burning and all that kind of stuff. And they got these transmissions and everything that operates all that. Those things wear out, and so about every 7 years you got to rebuild the daggum things because they wear out. And all that. So, did you know that they make parts for those things close by here? You do it.
My brother was building them out in Pensacola. He did
Over,
the
well,
GE.
you were probably, well, the only thing they build in this town, or in this area between here and Andalusia, is the housing. These big,
Down the road.
yeah, right down the roadways, the big old housings for them windmills, they build them over here. Yeah.
Where?
Between here and Andalusia, if you drive along, you'll
Oh,
see this
yeah.
building, and see them big white, things on there, that's,
I thought that's some stuff, I thought those were like pipe things that went into the ground.
no, those are actually for the, that's the windmill housing. They don't build the innards, but they build
Yeah.
the shell, you know. What's the most abundant element on Earth?
Oxygen.
Hydrogen. How much of the air that we're breathing is oxygen, Brian?
73%.
No. 21%.
Ah.
21% oxygen, 78% nitrogen, and the rest of it is trace minerals.
That's why Brian's laughing so much all the time.
Yep. Remember now, you guys all need to get ESCO certified next week, or before next week if you can do it at home. Really good stuff.
60%.
How energy efficient is a typical internal combustion engine?
40 to 60.
Anybody besides Joe? Let's go 15 to 20%.
No, they're more energy efficient than that. You're just trying to get everybody to go green. So that way
Not
hybrids
really.
don't get
I mean, I wish the
replaced.
numbers were different, but that's what they are. Of course, we use the heat to heat our car and this kind of stuff.
On the Walking Dead, like early on in the series or whatever, they was one of the disease places, you know, CDI or something.
Mhm.
CDC.
Yeah, that
Yes.
thing. And
Disease control.
the system was failing or whatever, and they had some kind of like thermite
Did it
that
at cafes.
set fire to the air.
Yeah.
It was cool.
Yeah.
It set fire to the hydrogen in the air.
Yeah, thermite. Yeah, that's what I use. Thermite's a burning explosive and all that kind of stuff. But all right. Now then, let me see. Getting here.
That didn't happen.
Where are we at here? Which term describes the entire fuel cycle from the time fuel is extracted or produced until it's spent in the vehicle?
Fuel efficiency.
Well-to-wheel efficiency. Which of the following describes why fuel cell technology is not in mass production? Lack of durability, insufficient power density, high cost, all of the above. Technician A says fuel cells are categorized according to the type of electrolyte used. Technician B says all fuel cells operate most efficiently at 500 degrees.
A.
Technician A only. Technician A says PAFC fuel cells can use hydrogen as fuel. Technician B says PEM fuel cells can use hydrogen as fuel, both of them. The negative electrode in a fuel cell is called what?
Anode.
Diode.
Actually, that's the anode. And that's interesting to me because if you look at an LED, you remember, you fool with LEDs? The long lead is positive and the short lead is negative.
Yeah.
Well, the long lead
Cathode.
is the cathode and the short lead's anode. Is that right? So, I mean, I always got those crossed up. Anode and cathode always cross me up every time. I know the long lead's positive though, you know. On a diode, you got a long one and a short one, you know. And so, anode's the negative one. What type of current does a fuel cell generate?
Alternating.
Direct current. Nice guess, Joe. Technician A says electrons in a fuel cell flow from the cathode to the anode. Technician B says electrons in a fuel cell flow from the anode to the cathode. Who's right?
Neither.
B. What do you mean neither? It's got to flow one way or the other if it's direct current. Good grief, Joe.
Joe hasn't been jolted enough by
Yeah.
DC yet.
Yeah, he'll learn more about that later. What term describes the process of passing electrical current through water to break it into oxygen and hydrogen?
Electrolysis.
Electrolysis, there you go. The chemical reaction in a fuel cell is called electrolysis. False. That's false. Technician A says hydrogen is the fuel source for the fuel cell. Technician B says hydrogen is the energy carrier for the fuel cell, and that would be Technician B. Hydrogen is the energy carrier. Technician A says hydrogen exists by itself in nature. Technician B says hydrogen has better specific energy than fossil fuels. Technician B is right about that. Which of the following is produced during the fuel cell energy production process? We've already said this. Come on, guys. It's the second time that question. Water, yeah. Technician A says fuel cell vehicles may use an electric storage device. Technician B says fuel cell vehicles using a storage device to help power a vehicle are called fuel cell hybrid vehicles. Both of those guys are right. General Motors made one of those. This is a sort of a prototype. It's pretty cool. And you could actually, whenever you, the deal was you could drive it around using water for fuel, basically, and then you could pull it up to your house and dock it to your house and use it to power your house. That's a futuristic thing, isn't it? According to the text, what gas can disable the catalyst if it contaminates the PEM fuel cell? That would be CO, carbon monoxide. Technician A says a fuel cell stack, that's a nice little tongue twister, consists of a number of fuel cells connected in parallel. Technician B says a fuel cell stack consists of a number of fuel cells connected in series. Technician B, they're in series, that's going to give you more voltage. Technician A says the fuel cells produce large amounts of heat. Technician B says fuel cell energy production creates low-grade heat, and that's Technician B. And Technician A says fuel cell cooling systems can use heat exchangers with small surface areas. Technician B says fuel cell cooling systems must use heat exchangers with large surface areas. That's Technician B.
Why gotta be medium?
A plug-in hybrid is similar to a hybrid electric vehicle, except for what?
No full tank.
Larger batteries. An ultracapacitor is used to store what?
Electronics.
Electrons. And finally, the transmission in a fuel cell vehicle is similar to the HEV transmission.
True.
That's true. You know, that's basically the way it's going to work. Pretty much the same way.
What was 22 and 23? 22 and 23 were both the
Okay.